Now a great honor and really a thrill for me is to introduce for the first time at a convocation our new music director, Robert Spano.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I wish I could applaud back as loudly as you just applauded in this direction, because it's really inspiring to be with you and to embark on this summer. The theme that we announced was Made in America. And soon after the announcement came out of this summer's program, I was doing an interview with an English journalist who said, "What is your problem, you Americans, that you're constantly obsessing over yourselves?" And at the moment I said, well, maybe it's because we don't know who we are. And we enjoy that journey and that discovery of finding what we believe our identity to be, of finding out how inclusive and global American can be. But the question stuck. And I wrestled with it, and I was drawn back to a book I read some years ago that I'm hoping I can form an informal book club this summer with audience, with students, with staff, with faculty, of Jacob Needleman, who was a philosophy professor in San Francisco, a beautiful book called The American Soul. And the reason I thought of it was how deeply and deeply considered he approached that very question of American identity. And one of the things that occurred to me in the midst of thinking of his book was the very title, Made in America, because there's something American about making, creating, and forging, and exploring, and coming up with something new. That seems to be, if not uniquely, certainly an American property. And I ran across something interesting looking up the word sincere, that it comes partially from the root of the Roman goddess Ceres, who was a goddess of agriculture, and it's from her that we get the word create. And so I was struck by this, because then creation is more agricultural than manufacturing. If you think about making, there's a mechanical connotation to the word, but creating then has a different illusion about what it means to make something. It also making anything has to do with delimiting it, not just something from nothing, but also the boundaries which define the something. As Debussy infamously said, when he was asked how he composed, he said, well, I take all the notes and I leave out the ones I don't like. And there's something very insightful about that quip. But there's also something, to me, very insightful about a goddess of agriculture being at the root of creating, because then it leads to notions of seeds and growth and cultivation and tending and allowing and cycles and time and practice. And there's something very beautiful in that to me, and that kind of creative effort, we also from the the Roman goddess Ceres get the word cereal. So it's actually nourishment. It comes back to us. We're fed by it. So that was the first American thing I thought of. And then when I was thinking a little more about Mr. Needleman's book, he talked about an encounter at the Congressional Congress where Ben Franklin, at the end of a debate over whatever the topic was, said, well, this is not the conclusion I would have come to, but I believe it's the right one. And I believe it's the right one because we have listened to each other, and we've taken the best of all of our minds, and come up with the result that we can now all put ourselves behind, that no one of us could have done alone. And I think that, too, is an American property. And maybe the most beautiful thing about that story for me is that it required a quality of listening that is subtle and penetrating and patient, and has to do with listening to oneself at the same time one is listening to the other, so that one's doubts are heard, one's intimations of truth are heard, the possibilities that are whispered are heard. That's the kind of listening we need in chamber music. It's the kind of listening we need when we practice. I noticed Mr. Fletcher emphasizing the words pay attention. And I love that phrase in our language because it tells us something about attention. It's an investment. It's something we pay. It's something that we're required to put outside of ourselves in order to get the return. And I would hope for all of us that that quality of listening will be part of our experience together. Because to me, that's at the core of the tradition we're trying to uphold here with this school. It's a little hard to define what that tradition is because we are not a school of a particular brand of string playing or of piano playing or of composition or of singing or even of conducting, nor do I wish it to be. But we are a school with a tradition, so what is it? Because we're not promoting any one thing, we're embracing a kind of multiplicity, also very American. And I think that tradition, which is a beautiful word also, from the same root we get traditore, traitor. So the thing we don't want to betray is that quality of listening, because that's the core of our tradition. That's the music we know that we're trying to cultivate. If you decide what's important music, what's high art, what's popular music, what's important music, what's serious music, concert music, art music, what are all these things? It's so hard to define in a way. I certainly hope your musical tastes are having you adventure outside of your own discipline. And it's certainly worthy of our attention. And for me, I've sort of divided music now into the music that we're meant to be attentive to and listen, and that which we're not. As Lily Tomlin once said, my greatest fear is that whoever invented Muzak is out there inventing something else. And our tradition is about the opposite, not the environmental noise that we strive to tune out, but the very precious art to which we strive to tune in. And I think that's our mission. So I look forward to pursuing it with you. So glad you're here, so glad I'm here. Let's have at it.